Ladies and gentlemen, we're here again. My name is Anthony Goodson. I am the host of the number one show at this time on this station, on this page. I didn't have to break it down so much, did it? Rebrand us. I want to go ahead and say what's up to Eric. What's up, Eric?
What's going on, everybody?
How was your week?
Busy, productive, blessed.
Busy is always good. Did you put on a couple pounds? Because when I see people do their shirt like this, I always think they done gained a couple pounds.
I bent over in my chair.
We have our two special guests from last week. I'm excited to have them on. Arthur, what's happening?
What's good, everybody? Good to be here. Good to be back.
This week, we actually have sound, Yashika.
Along in the submarine.
See, last week we had Arthur on and we had absolutely no sound. He came on at the very last minute of the show, 7:29 last week, or 8:29. All right, Yashika, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thank you.
What do you mean you're doing okay?
I'm doing good.
Anything wrong?
I'm struggle busting a little bit, but I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm alive. Thank God.
If that's as much as you gonna tell them, that's as much as I'm gonna tell them.
You tell them whatever you want to tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Before we start this show, we like to say, hey, everybody, please go to your Facebook, do what you do, share the show. Thank you. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm trying to struggle. I'm stalling a little bit so I can go ahead and share the show. We're gonna have. I don't even see it. There we go. But we're gonna have a good time tonight. We got a lot of different topics we're gonna talk about, and these topics are all over the place. But see, the beauty of these topics being all over the place is so the audience can join in and they can have some fun with us too. So, audience, you share, you comment, you have fun. Let's do this. Tonight's gonna be a good night. First of all, is there anything that you ladies and gentlemen wanted to talk about tonight? Is there a topic that you had it on your mind you want to just throw out there?
I mean,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, my week's been full.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start off with probably the simplest one. Have y'all seen this new AI stuff they got going on Facebook? It's called Remedy.
Yeah.
I wish I had a picture of it. Remedy. So Remedy is like you put your picture on whatever app this is, and then it gives you a whole body, and it's like really nice. It looks so real. Me and Arthur was talking about this before the show. If you don't know what you're looking for, or if you don't know that it's there, you're gonna think that this is real. And that's AI, artificial intelligence. That's some of the stuff that we're dealing with right now. Tell me, what do y'all think about this? I wish I had a picture to show you.
I just started seeing it. My daughter I have a 21-year-old. She sent it to me. When she sent it, because it looks so real. And like you said, if I didn't know her, I would think that was her. So to me, it's weird, I guess is the word for me. But it looks realistic.
It looks so real, but the question that I pose on here is AI, how will it affect dating sites? Because what's going to happen is this 290-pound girl going to come in the room, and you were expecting a 125-pound woman with curly hair and all this stuff, because you can put hair, you can put clothes, and see, this it's neat because you may not have any style whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? You may not be able to fix your hair or nothing, but you put your face, and not only does it doctor up your face and put it on this very nice body, it also gives you this great style, and it also gives you a great hairstyle and all that stuff. You're really a completely different person, but you have a similar face, and it's so strong, it's so powerful, it actually looks like you.
It does.
Or what you could be.
I don't think it differs more from catfishing very much, honestly. I think you can catfish anybody even back in 20 years prior to now on these dating sites. AI give you a different version, a different way to do it, but it's based on the different level, a different version of catfishing, in my opinion. I don't think it affected too much. It will give people an opportunity to use more of the likeness of their own face. But if you're trying to catfish somebody, you can really use your own face anyway until you see them. That's how I look at it. But I think it's to give another way to scam people, basically. Whether you want to date them or whether you want them to steal from them, whatever it may be. So
I think it's a pretty good point you bring up there, Eric. Catfishing, that's what it's basically going to be, but now you can actually use your face. You know what I mean? It's a whole different body. I don't know. I was telling Arthur this, and Arthur, I know you got some comments you want to make. But before we had the show, I said, the scary part about AI It's not the fake dating, not the you put a pretty picture of yourself, and everybody's profile pictures are going to be nicer over the next couple months and so forth. But what's scary about it is eventually one day you might be able to rob a bank, or you might be able to commit a crime. But if you got some kind of a wand or some kind of device that throws it to that camera, once it hits that camera and gives your face a completely different face. So you don't even really need a mask anymore. Maybe you have to wear a green screen over your face or something. I don't know. So that it'll change, how you look. And eventually, a lot of wrong people, I guess that's what fingerprints are really coming to play. But a lot of wrong people could be, charged for something they didn't do.
Technology is definitely evolving. And that's the thing that we have to look at is that there's this evolution of technology. It's especially in the computer and digital space. I mean, things are just going to be going faster and faster. I mean, the resolution of things are just going to be going faster and faster. Like these AI images that you make up, they used to take sometimes like weeks to make, months to make. Now it's like it's like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's a thing of like, if you get some people that are really into that really, I mean, people are only gonna get better at it, and it's only gonna get better. And so you're definitely gonna have to have some things in place that still protect you.
Right.
So that's very, very much a valid concern.
And what I'm gonna do is try to see if I can pull up some of these, and we'll bring this conversation up here in just a little bit. I actually have a picture in front of me now, and I'm gonna try to see if I can work that out. But these AI pictures are kind of crazy. If y'all haven't seen it, just stay tuned. We'll bring them back up. It's very interesting. All right, I'm gonna talk. Anybody else got anything else you want to say about that topic?
I did want to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say I agree. It's just a scam. It's for dating websites, especially. I mean, especially, you see a lot of these talk shows. They've been talking to people online, right? And they're just head over heels of this person, of this being online that they never saw. You know what I mean? So it's a scam. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah. It's just gonna be. It looks really weird, but cool, kind of. But I really think that people are just gonna take it bad and run with it. It's gonna be way more negative impact than a positive.
Well, they said this a long time ago. How long will it be before? I think like 20, 25 years ago, they said they take Denzel Washington and get his face and his mannerism, his voice and his everything, and make a full movie. And Denzel Washington never set foot on any kind of set or anything. So eventually, we're going to be cheated as an audience, and we're going to see a full AI movie, and there's no actual people in it. And I don't know exactly how they do it. I don't know if y'all seen this, but they got this new rap song out. I wish I could have thought about this before, but it's Eminem, I believe, or maybe Tupac, one of the two, maybe both. I don't know. Tupac. And they do this. Was it Tupac? And they do this whole rap song, and it's crazy. It's good. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was written. I don't know how they came up with it, but it had Tupac's voice. It had lyrics from all his songs, but it flowed like it was just one song, and it was amazing. So as a listener, you could listen to this on the radio or buy the CD and never know that the actual man was never there, the actual person. Yeah. So it's getting crazy. And then you pair this with this what's it called? Metaverse?
Yeah, metaverse. Yeah.
Metaverse. So the metaverse is coming, and you got AI coming, and I mean it can get scary because I think when me and Arthur was talking about this before the show started, the scariest part to me about AI is not how it affects the dating site. I'm married, so I'm not going on there anyway. But now people can almost steal money from you. People can open your cell phones. People can do all kind of security stuff that the simple man didn't realize that someone else could break into. So to me, that's the scary part. Let's go to the comments real quick. First one said, "Hello, rebrand us." It was Deborah Goodson. Thank you very much. Can AI send me the link? I don't know what he means by that.
That was Ace.
Hey, well, he need to check his email. AG sent it. AG sent that a long time ago. But yeah, no, it's getting very scary to me on that aspect, because now true manipulation is what we're going to start looking at. And I think we have to, because Arthur said, we were talking about that boxing match between Roy Jones Jr. and some bodybuilder, and it was fake. It was a metaverse fight. So they didn't really actually fight, but they made it. You can click on it. You think they do. If you got poor cell signal or whatever, you probably think it's a real fight. But if you got something clear, you know that it's not. Nevertheless, now we're getting fooled, and that's scary to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead, brother.
No, you were next, Arthur. Go ahead, bro.
No, you good. Hey, so the thing about AI, artificial intelligence, and the way it's done now is that when you use the Denzel example, it can not only just copy the image and the voice of a person, but also what it does, it takes the different voice lines and everything, and it's starting to learn how to develop the personality of the person, right, and the thought process of the person, and to basically make it a sentient intelligence. And so what you have essentially is an electronic person, and what you'll have essentially is an electronic version of you that can be you even after you're gone, or if you're not present. So that's where some of the people that you hear talking about it, that's where they want it to go.
Wow.
Yeah. Look, these are not real people. I mean, they're real people, but these are not real people. You see at the bottom where it says Remini, this is the generated with AI. This is apparently the top of the line AI. Now, I hope this is not someone that you know. Look at here. I'm not even sure if this person is actually pregnant, because they're making them now where you can actually be pregnant.
They're not.
Flawless. That's not even a real. Is it a real baby? You think?
No.
Yeah, not even a real baby. That's not a human being right there. For those who are watching.
Well, check it out though. So I think the general public, we're just not getting the heads up and application of this AI stuff. But the governments and people that of the technology savvy that come up with this stuff, it's been out for a while, probably for them. It makes me wonder what has been used on already. What have they practiced with this AI on us already? It makes me think about that kind of stuff, because it didn't come out thin air. It came from somewhere, and they had to practice, and they had to continue to get it better and better and better and better. So, like, how's it been used so far, and what do we know about it from a past perspective, I guess?
Well, I think I watched Eric, me and you talked about this maybe 20 years ago. I watched a Tom Cruise movie about 20 years ago. It's like Mission Impossible or something. And whenever I saw that movie, I knew then that stuff that they were talking about, they were showing in that movie, it seemed so far advanced. It's not something that we were going to be doing at that moment. But I knew then that was something the government had been knowing about 20 years ago. Remember, I think we've had that conversation many times. And I said, they've been doing this for 20 years. They're just not kind of showing us. Eventually, it'll get to the point to where we'll start doing it. So they may introduce a lot of stuff to us in movies 20 years down the line. And then another 20 years, we'll actually be able to do it. So we may be 40 years behind as a public. Wow. Very interesting stuff, very scary stuff. But most importantly, keep an eye on your bank accounts. I think that's the scary part. All right, moving right along. We got a lot of topics tonight. If anybody has anything they want to say about that, be sure to chime in. We're very excited to have y'all watching us tonight. There's some things that need to be updated. You know what? That's funny. We go from talking about stuff that's been updated, which is AI.
Yeah.
When I think about this topic, and this might be a brief one, I think what comes to mind is just our jobs, right? Like, how long have our parents, our grandparents, so forth and so on, been working Monday through Friday from 8 to 5? And what really gave me this idea when I came up with this topic is there are people who go to work still in warehouses that they have a 15-minute break, then they go back to work, then they have a 30-minute lunch, then they go back to work, then they have another 15-minute break. I'm talking about grown adults. I'm not talking about some teenager who works at the grocery store on the weekend. I'm talking about real grown adults. At what point are we going to start, or do we need to start updating America, the world?
Yeah. That's a very good question. When you said update, immediately I thought about our education system. When I think about how the Western world thinks, and what I mean by Western world, I mean like America, like, and Western Europe, things of that nature, versus how the Middle East and the Eastern world think. Our thought process over here is a thought process that can only see two sides of things, and we can never dig in deep and really find truth. And that's why you see so much fighting as far as like with religion, with political parties, different opinions and things like that, because people can only really see two sides of things. Whereas in the Middle East and in the Eastern countries, they're able to have a lot of different perspectives about certain things, and still they're able to look at something and not see things as contradictions, but see it as on both sides. And so I think our education system needs to update, because a lot of the people that come over here from other countries, they're sick, they know more at 16 than we do at like 21 and 22.
Oh yeah.
Like they're already in college at like 16, and that's like normal. That's not like smart kids. That's not like gifted kids. That's like normal. They're already in college at 16 and 17, right? And so I think our education system definitely needs to update. Along with that,
I think it's a great point, Shashika.
For me, I just think it's just thinking, the way we think. So like if they go into the warehouse, 15-minute break, 30-minute lunch, 15-minute break, they doing that because that's what they were taught to. So we have to change our thinking, right? the way that we think and the things we see. And sometimes when we hear stuff, we don't take it to heart. Just like he said, not thinking it's either this way or that way. There could be another way. It's just thinking all together for me. Our thinking, especially us, it needs to be updated for sure. Yeah.
Eric?
Man, I tend to agree with what everybody said already. I would add, I guess, to the conversation by just saying that employment itself. I mean, I'm kind of going with Arthur in regards to the Eastern countries or whatever. How we do work here in general, they do work much more leisurely at a leisurely pace at other places, and can be very much more productive than what's happening in the States right now in America. We believe pressure butts pipes, and it can make diamonds. It can do all that good stuff. But other countries believe that you do stuff on a longer rope. You can be just as productive that way too. But again, it goes back to the way you think, the way you was brought up, all that good stuff. So you did that in America right now. We did everything very leisurely. You might not get anything done in America right now. It would be a transition, obviously, to get to that point where it could be in the middle somewhere along the line. It's not necessarily one way or the other, like you said, also to Arthur and Yashika, but I think there's a combination of all these things put together that could be definitely updated and created to a better society, at least in America.
I think a different thought process when we start thinking about things that need to be updated. You start thinking about the government itself, maybe some of the different some of the laws for sure. Even the I would say 10 Commandments. What about the Bill of Rights? Our Bill of Rights needs to be updated and redone, because America in 1776 is not America in 2023. That's for sure. So it's a lot of things that I think that we fall behind on, because see, America. What's funny to me is America is not a country of tradition. And yet we want to act like we're a country of tradition. Japan, they have traditions. China people, Chinese, they have tradition. But America, we really don't. I don't know if I just offended them. But a little bit. But we don't. So we try to hold on to some things that don't really make sense to the people. It just makes sense to a certain group. And that's not even a racist comment. That's really just what it is. And so now the it's very outdated. And so I think that we need to update the Bill of Rights to a certain degree, maybe the way we vote for presidents to a certain degree, even though I think I like it, but it might be one of the things. Let's go to the comments real quick. It says, if everyone gets an education and get the high power jobs, who's going to do what we need that comes from the warehouse? I'm sorry. That's true. I mean, everybody can't do, that's Deborah Goodson. Everybody can't do I can't read, Eric, don't be laughing. Everybody can't do the big time job. So I think that, we do need some people to pick the oranges. And I would just, they can come from the southern countries and do something. Does that sound racist? That's what they do, you know. Mexico.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Clothes.
Wow.
Clothes need to be updated.
Clothes need to be updated. Men need to start wearing dresses again, don't you think? Kilts. No.
No.
I can see Eric in a nice kilt. I can see Arthur in a nice kilt. He got the build.
For nice.
No kilts.
Breezy. Nice and breezy.
That's crazy. That's true.
That's it.
All right, here go a controversial topic I would love to talk about. We touched on this a little bit last week.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to get in on this because I don't want anybody to be offended. I wish another woman was on here, another female. Question: can we be entertained by females?
I'm not going first. Is that why everybody's quiet?
So I wasn't on the show, and I watched the majority. I think I missed this particular segment of it though. So explain entertain. What does that mean specifically?
Well, okay, I'm glad you said that. We didn't. I don't think we did this on air. It was after the show last week.
Yeah, after the show.
So I made the comment that y'all be sure to share this because I want everybody to hear this part. I made the comment that when it comes to entertainment, with the exception of, I gave two exceptions. I can't remember what they were. We'll talk about that as we get
comedians
into it. Comedians was one of them. That was one for sure. Because I'll just say this: there's not a lot of women who really acting and singing. That's what I said. With the exception of actors and singers, I just don't know that I can be fully entertained by women. Take your mind out of the gutter because I know somebody's probably thinking that too. But acting and music, I just don't think. I cannot think of 3 funny comedians of all the comedians I've ever heard, even going back to Moms Mabley, all the way up to Ellen DeGeneres. There's only 3 funny comedians that I've ever heard of. Nobody likes watching women sports. Women don't even go to women's sport. See what they have their own thing. Y'all's thing is, reality shows and the list goes on. But I just don't believe that we can be truly entertained, with the exception of acting and music by women.
So we also, this question is, when you say we, do you mean men?
I'm talking about the general public, yes. Because in other countries, women don't do the entertaining. I mean, some of those traditional countries we were talking about earlier. So yes, men, women, everyone.
For me, I gave this one thought because when you said it, I had never really thought about it. But when you said it, then I started thinking about it because I was like, yeah, let me find some people. And I started looking to see what I could find. Besides music and acting, I couldn't come up with anything. So
I will say this.
I like comedy, but I don't really, like stand-up comedy, no.
Well, I'll say this. This weekend, Arthur, I watched I guess it was the Nationals in track. So we got a chance to see Sha'Carri and some of these females. Now, that was good. They can run track. They can run not quite as fast as the men, but who cares? We don't even know really. And but it's still very entertaining, especially when they get to the sprint relay and the 100 and the 200. Those sprints, those I can be entertained by, and that's sports. But so I guess in every genre. So as far as the art side of it, music and acting, that's cool. But not stand up. I just can't think of, if somebody can tell me 3 stand up comedians, and Ellen DeGeneres is probably my favorite. And then I got my one other, which is somebody that y'all don't even know. So I just don't believe it. Let's go to the comments. Someone said tennis. That's actually pretty good. Okay, it's pretty good.
I got a couple because for me, as far as, because I like watching women's sports because I kind of grew up, my parents, they'd have us watching the Olympics all the time. So I really, I'll be watching stuff I'll be watching figure skating. I'll be watching, them skiing. I'll be watching, track and field. I'll be watching, I watch WNBA. I don't normally know when it come on or anything like that. I don't follow, but I watch it. I'll also watch, but yeah, I like track and field though. I like that stuff. But yeah, as far as the sports and everything like that. Now with comedians, it's interesting because I can't think of as far as mainstream. I can only think of maybe very few women, mainstream women that are funny, but a lot of the ones that I follow on Instagram and stuff like that. Oh my God, they are hilarious.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so, and it's
direction.
just like, I don't know. It's crazy how like the ones who don't even have the talent seem to be elevated. And the ones that do have the talent, they still kind of grinding in the background. So it's kind of a weird dynamic.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like America tries to push it on us. They push it on us. They find there's an agenda at all times, and then they try to push that agenda on us. Like, for example, now it's the LGBTQ, whatever. They try to push that on us. And at one point, it was women, just women. You got to love women's sports. Why is LeBron James getting paid more than all the WNBA and so forth? And these people, they complain and don't even go to watch the WNBA, the people who actually say it. So that's one of the issues that I have. And I tried to sit back and think, like, am I really entertained by a lot of women outside of those two things? Now, of course, tennis, I do like watching female tennis. I do like watching female track. But whenever it's time to listen to a woman comedian, whenever it's time for me to, and we had a couple of other things that we mentioned, I'm just like, I don't really get it. And so it just seems like that's part of the agenda for them to really push that on us. Now, I do feel like women have their spot. Like I said earlier, reality TV. It's kind of hard to watch dudes on a reality TV. That's not our thing. It's y'all's thing. Housewives of everything. And it don't even matter. Black women, white women, whatever. It just seems like y'all actually, and I say y'all, meaning women, kind of thrive there. But that's just kind of my thought. Anyway, I knew there was going to be a short-lived conversation.
It's a cool question, though. I'm going to take it in a little bit different direction, and not necessarily entertain, but with women preachers. You know what I'm saying? Because women preachers ain't supposed not supposed to entertain you anyway. It's supposed to engage and supposed to teach things of that nature, right? But how do you feel about women preachers? Do you feel like they can engage in the pulpit or giving sermons and teachings, things of that nature?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna let Arthur answer this first.
Oh, I'm glad to answer that because I'm gonna tell you something. It's I've been preaching for 20 plus years, bro. There's some women I'd rather hear than some men.
Absolutely.
Because of how not just the charisma, but how theologically sound they are. And one of the things is that that you have to, especially being a woman in that space, you have to be, you almost have to be more theologically sound than the man, because a lot of times when people automatically see a man and he's a preacher and they're like, oh, okay, they just give him the benefit of the doubt, kind of, right? But yeah, when they see a woman, and because of the feelings that people, the theological implementations of that, some people, some denominations agree with it, some don't. And so, some traditions agree with it, some don't. So you have this kind of back and forth. And so, like, yeah, it's my thing is this: as long as you got the Holy Ghost and you preaching the right word, shoot, you good with me.
Well, Eric, I think I'll go so far as to say, I'm trying to think as Arthur was speaking, I've never heard a bad female preacher. Mm-hmm. I guess if you're a female, evangelist or whatever, you have to really come with it, I guess. But I've never heard a bad one before. In fact, the church I go to now, the pastor's wife preached this past Sunday, and she's amazing. She really is. In fact, the church that I went to before this one, it was a husband and wife, and she was probably better than the husband. And the husband's been on this show before. So I think that's just fine. Let's go to the comments. There are some, I'm sure this is Deborah Goodson. There are some powerful women preachers. I just don't like the ones who try to mimic men instead of just being themselves. Is that Deborah?
That's a very good point.
That's Adrian.
That's a very good point.
Well, for me, women preachers, for me, they're relatable. I'm a woman, right? There's some things that a woman can touch on that a man cannot. So some women preachers, I feel, but I can get the anointing from men and women, but they're just relatable. They can speak on some things men can't. So,
they preach differently. That's the beauty of having, black preachers preach different than white preachers, males different than females, and so forth. They got more of a nurturing spirit. They kind of different, thought process than the average man. But the word is the word, so they still telling the same thing, but they have a different way of telling it. So I think that's a great point. Hey, look, we're gonna come back real quick. Is it hard to be a parent? Do y'all think? Is it hard being a parent? Should it be hard? We're We're going to talk a little bit more about it when we come back.
Want to bring that curb appeal back to your home or business? Let us help you. Call Ace Power Washing at 469-337-4080 or email us at powerwashingace3@gmail.com. Whether it's sidewalks, driveways, house or building washing, we'll take care of it. Call or email today for your free quote. We'll see you soon.
Most blacks didn't really want to go. It was terrifying.
We just did what we were told to do.
The schools are still backwards.
Oh, I loved that. You feel safe. When I got home, I told Mama, no more. I said, I'm not taking this no more.
Welcome back. I'm your host to the number one podcast at this time.
We spoke at 7:30 on Wednesdays.
7:30 on Wednesday in the Garland, Dallas area. Rebranders. All right. So before we left, we threw the question out there: is it hard being a parent? Let me turn that music down before I get something from Ace. Is it hard being a parent? So I was having a conversation with some people the other day, and they were telling me about all the issues that they're having with their children. And I said, you know what? I said, I didn't really have a lot of issues from my daughter. I prayed over her. I talked to her. I did all these things. And then, of course, I said, but one thing I did for sure is I spent 18 years of my life completely sacrificing that to her. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I have the antidote. I don't know what it is, but I didn't have a whole lot of trouble. But the person that I was talking to, she told me she had a whole lot of trouble with her kid. And she was saying how she has been a bad parent from here and there. And she didn't do this and she didn't do that. But nevertheless, I thought to myself, is that where it went wrong? Or can people actually bust their behind and just come out with good kids because they gave 18 years of their life to each one of their kids, and then some? I know, so we know it's going to be further than that. What do y'all think? Let's, we got Ace in the background. Let's bring Ace on and tell me, what do y'all think?
I'm very happy to be here. That's all I think.
What's the question again, hey Anthony?
Is it hard being a parent? Is it hard being a parent? Not if you have great kids. Oh God, that's an interesting question. Answer.
You know what? In today's
what's the
time,
antidote?
yes.
Let me change it a little bit. What's the antidote to having great kids?
Two great parents. First, a man meets a woman. They like each other. They have relations. They produce a child. They grow. That was talking about the formula.
So, I don't know. I don't think there's necessarily an antidote, but I think what you said earlier, what you did with Sydney, praying over them, being there for them, those are ingredients to the recipe to having great kids, obviously. But I think I've seen kids, a house full of 3 kids and 2 parents. One kid turn out one way, the other 2 turn out another way. So it's really hard to say it's an antidote. You know what I mean? But I think you do the best you can. You, like I said, you pray over them, you do all the things you're supposed to do. Even if you mess up, I think you teach them to mess up, but then teach how to accept and take accountability for messing up and going from there. But there's no one thing you can do to guarantee your child will be good. There's so much evil in this world. There's so much wrongdoing in this world, and it's so easy to get involved in that stuff. So, to me, there's no antidote for it. I think you just have to pray. And I think eventually they'll come around. Even if there are kids that having troubles. And I hate saying bad kids. A lot of people say bad kids. I hate saying bad kids. I don't think any kid is bad. I think they're going through struggles. I think you can help them get through those struggles and from different perspectives and whatnot. But
each day of a child produces different kind of parent. A parent of a toddler is different parent of a teen. That was Deborah Goodson. Yashika, you had something?
I was just gonna say, I say struggles too, but I put it in the more of a process because I have a troubled child. He's not my birth child; he's my nephew. But I raised him since he was 1 year old, so I feel like he's mine. But I really believe it. So for him, I guess it's different, right? Because I'm his aunt. I'm not his mom. His mother and father was alive. My brother passed almost 2 years ago, but he's 20 now. So, he was only with me. But he's in his process is what I tell people. And, to me, kids, when they get in their teens, they either go one way or the other. And to me, I think you could, because I did the very best I could for him. Yes, he doesn't have my DNA. He has his mother and his father. So there's the difference, right? I had psychologists had to tell me that because I just didn't understand, because I'm doing everything I can, and this child is, the way he is. But even I've seen kids that was troubled kids that was born into families that like OD'd. I have someone I know, they were a really good family, but the child OD'd or they got into all this, they're in prison or whatever. But the other one is like a fire chief, So it depends. When they get to a certain age, they start to make decisions for themselves. And what I've learned with raising 2 of my brother's children is that after they get a certain age, I'm no longer taking responsibility for that, because you know better. And so and when do we give them their own minds to do what because they're going to get to a point where they want to do what they want to do, and either that's going to be this way or not. And that's even with my little ones too. I'm not going to take. I know what I do for them.
Yeah. Deborah Collette says once they're grown, they have their own mind. So I agree with you on that one. I think I think it's tedious though. I think that the one thing that you have to do is you have to spend time. You have to pay attention. You have to navigate. But I think that you have to let them make a lot of decisions too, because if you're doing everything, then once it's time to let them go, then they don't know what to do. So I think it's a tough. That's the hard part, Eric, to me. Is how do you know when to let go, especially when you are a father who has daughters like Ace knows. That's tough. How do you know when to let go?
You have to show the good and the bad. And bless you. I think one of the hardest things is having the real conversation, because they're very uncomfortable. But we're in a day and time right now where you have to have those uncomfortable conversations, because the world is having them. Everything they watch, everything they listen, like there is no positive outlets right now for the children. If you think about it, outside of church, there is nothing. The radio, the radio is constantly telling our daughters, be a hoe, be promiscuous. Your body's going to make a way for you. That's how you're going to make it in life. That's it. Our sons, all the radio is telling them is kill somebody to resolve your conflict, sell dope, it'll make you cool, and treat these women like the scum of the earth, because that's what you're supposed to do. So you have to get in between that, and you have to show some reality. You have to show some falsehood. You have to have those real life conversations. I remember I've had conversations with my daughters that I never dreamed I'd be having, but it's a must because it's there. It's not holding. You heard them. They were having the rally, the gay pride rally, right? And no, nothing against anybody, your sexual preference, anything like that, but they were actually chanting, "We're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children." And they weren't, I don't know if y'all saw that on social media, they weren't playing anything like that. And I don't think they were talking about coming for them as far as like doing something, to them inappropriate. But I think they were talking about the mental and the mind state. They chanted that, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." That's scary. We're in a scary time right now. And I think the only way to combat it is you got to be just as real as the world is being.
Realer. You gotta be realer, because what you teach and what you promote is not quite as fun as what the world promotes. So you gotta be way better than the world.
Yeah. The world,
because the world is fun. The world is out there. It's funny. Cardi B, she was in her room. I don't know if y'all saw this story. She was in her room in her house one time, and she was dancing and listening to her own music. And then her kid came in. She said she saw her kid in the mirror. turned it off very quickly. And they said, why?
Right.
Yeah, I want my kid listening to that.
Right.
See, she knows that her music is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not even knocking her for her music. She's making money or doing whatever she's trying to do. That's her profession, cool. But at least she knows that that's not the type of stuff you need to teach your children.
Yeah.
And that's so how we have to do.
Yeah.
You can't let them, because they call you, Goodson, you just a hater. Oh, Goodson, you just hater. You know, have y'all ever saw they did quotes from some of the most influential people? So it was like the guy that owned like so many McDonald's, he doesn't allow his kids to eat McDonald's. I think Mark Zuckerberg, I don't think his kids have a Facebook. Who is it? Apple or whatever. They kids were limited to certain screen time, you know. So it was the CEOs and creators of all these platforms and different things that we have in the world, and they were like, no, not my kids. So they'll feed it to everybody else, but when it comes to their kids, it's like, nah, I ain't doing it. And so that's why we have to stand guard, because they're just getting money, and they're getting money by feeding us whatever it takes to get them money. So we have to stand guard enough to say, just like them, hey, my kids, like, man, I put it like this, if my kids was come home and tell my wife, we went to McDonald's with daddy, my wife would lose her mind. My kids 100% absolutely are not allowed to eat anything at McDonald's. Just period, point blank. When they with me, we can't listen. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not the hip dad, whatever. We listen to Al Green or something. We can't listen to 97.9 to K1.
But see, that right there is the first step to great parenting hood. You have to have rules. You have to have boundaries. You have to have, the kids got to know this is something I just cannot bring to my parents.
Right.
Yeah.
This is something I just cannot bring to my parents. For me, we can all come up with ours, but for me, the one thing I would never do is disrespect my parents. I would never cuss around my parents. I would never do some of the stuff that I do around y'all, around my parents.
And he cusses a lot, Miss Goodson.
See, well, my parents are not my friends, so I couldn't treat them like my friends. I had to, even if I talk to them on the phone all day long, they're still my parents. I respect them like parents. I have a relationship like parents, like they're my parents, but they're not my friends. And so I think that you have to allow your kids to know we're not friends, because friends are equal. Friends are on the same level. So you coming in this house and you're on my level, but I'm paying the bills. I don't even want to get into it. But anyway, you know what? An art that is seems to be lost amongst our kids. Speaking of being a good parent, is I was thinking about this with my own child the other day. But it seems like we've lost the art of small talk. First of all, it's small talk an art. Just sitting around chit chat. Ace, imagine you're at Walmart or any other store and you're in line and it's a long line. And so now you got to keep yourself occupied and there's somebody standing in front of you. Are you able to carry on a pretty decent conversation with that person for 5 minutes until you check out?
100% of the time I do. I put that phone in my pocket and I say, what you think about this line? Or I'll make a comment, or, if it's somebody got some pretty hair or something like that, I'll be like, loan me some of that hair Thursday and I'll bring it back. And I'll hold the conversation. Like I meet everybody. I've been telling Goodson this for years. I do a social experiment every day of my life. I try to speak to everybody and be kind to see if they're gonna be kind back, or see if by my act of kindness it'll play forward. Every man I see, no matter his color, I say, hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing, brother? And I'll never forget the time that let me know I was doing something right. It was Trump was in office, racial tensions were high, and I was in Walmart in DeSoto, and it was like this motorcycle biker, white guy, he had he was the typical stereotypical, had the beard, the tattoo, he had his leather vest on with no shirt on, the American flag bandana and everything. And we walked past each other and I kind of did him like that, and he just kind of like did him like that. And I said, hey, what's going on, brother? And he stopped in his track and stopped me, grabbed my arm. He said, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I was like, okay. He said, you called me brother. He said, hey, you have a good day, brother. He said, you keep it up. And, that made a difference. He stopped. Now, looking at that guy, he used a textbook, like I would have put money on, no, this guy's a racist right here. And he was just so elated that I called him brother, and so that's some of the things that small talk is becoming a lost art, but we have to do our best to keep it up.
Yeah.
What do you think, Arthur? You think it's something that we our kids are losing? Is that something you can? Is it an art for adults, for everyone, or is that something our kids are just completely, lost to?
I think it is definitely something that the kids have lost because I did this actually when I was back in Nacogdoches at SFA. Well, I was out of SFA, but I had some younger frat brothers of mine, and I was just sitting with them after church, and I was just talking to them, and I was saying, like, let me ask you this question: can you properly articulate what you are about in about 2 to 3 minutes? Can you tell people your vision and your dreams in a concise manner? Because those are things that are important. And even going back to what Ace was saying, just that general speaking, that general openness that you have to have in this society. Because one of the things that you'll never know where your blessing will come from, right?
That's true.
And you'll never know what door God's gonna open to a person. That answer that you've been praying for, it may be sent to a person that's sitting by you, that's sitting by you in the movies, or that's that you're in line with at Walmart or whatever, or you're in line with at the restaurant and whatnot. And a lot of times we refuse to have conversation because we're so caught up in our own day and we're trying to get our business done and everything. And I mean, I'm an extrovert, and I know I do that. Even as an extrovert, I do that sometimes. I'll cut off people because I'm trying to go forth and do things. But having that general openness and being able to talk is so important, especially for children, because what will happen is you'll grow up as an adult and you won't be able to get in a social setting and be able to communicate. And I don't think that has nothing to do with anybody being an introvert or an extrovert. It's actually a skill.
Yeah, life.
You can it's just life. Being able to talk to people and connect with people. The thing that people still value most, I don't care what setting you are in, the thing that people value most is relationships. So if you are able to connect with people, build a rapport, right? And build a rapport, no matter what it is, whether if it's just a quick interaction, you don't ever see them again, whether it's a business partner, whether it's your husband, wife, friend, brother, sister, whatever, you have to be able to make that connection and build that relationship, because people respond to relationships. And through relationships, a lot of the other stuff will come together. So it's definitely an important skill to have.
Let's go to the comments. It says it's lost on kids. I speak to my kids. This is Joanne Guilford, by the way. Every morning to model that behavior. I also have to teach my students not to walk between two people talking. Wow, really?
Yeah.
It's almost seemed. Kids have lost it. Who is this, Eric? I have talked to who?
Miss Good.
Your mama.
Oh.
Hey, you said it like we on Wild and Out or something. Your mama. It's your mama.
Your mama. No. Kids have lost it. I've talked to young people about making small talk to others. You never know what will lead to their own lives. What's funny is like Ace and myself, we're in marketing. Marketing is networking. And it's small talk. It's a lot of small talk. It's an art. If you don't have it, it's tough to gain, because it's you may be good for 2 or 3 seconds answering 1 or 2 questions, but then you have nothing. You lost it. And so that you learn in our industry, and Yashika could probably definitely attest to this. You learn in our industry, those who have the best small talk, those who ask the most questions, those who are not making it all about themselves until it's time to make it about themselves, those are the people who win the most. You know what I mean? Yeah. Small talk is, to me, just so important, because have you ever been in a situation where it's so awkward? And you ask a couple questions, and maybe we've even had a couple people we've interviewed on this show, and you ask them a question, and all they do is answer the question. And you can't ask them a yes or no question, because they're going to give you a yes or no.
So what's been going on with you? I'm good. I've been working. You do know we invite you on our podcast. But it's even, Goodson, think about it. Me and Goodson, we on the phone a lot during the day. And, one of us will be in the drive-thru, and they'll be like, welcome to such and such. How can I help you? And we'll be like, hey, how you doing today? And just stop and pause. And you'll be surprised how awkward it is sometimes. they won't say nothing, you say something. And I'm like, I asked you how you were doing.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll be like, okay, how can I help you? Like, you didn't hear me ask about you. You know, that small talk is gone.
LOL, don't interview me then. Gabo, we're going to have you on the show. One of the best friends in the whole world.
But I do want to say this right before we move on. So small talk, what it does, you know, a lot of people don't have a chance to get their voice heard. Whether it is just because they may not be able to talk to people at home because either they're taking care of them or, you know, life just gets busy and life gets so hectic. And they might not be able to afford, you know, therapy or things like that. And the way a simple conversation, you just open the door to speak to somebody. And this happens to me a lot because I don't know if it's because the preacher thing or what, but I'll go somewhere not even intending to talk to somebody. Somebody will talk to me and, you know, and I'll respond back to them. And I just go into that listen mode because I already know they're going to tell me their life story, you know, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing, you know, like, oh my gosh, I think I'm talking my ear off. I'm just saying it like, it's because they haven't had a chance to tell anybody. They haven't had a chance to be heard a lot of times. And so when you're doing those small talk things and you're making that small talk more about them than about you, then you really start to connect with people and you really start how to learn. You really start how to learn how to deal with different people, you know, because life, you're not going to deal with the same type of person.
No.
Every day. You're not. So you're going to have to know how to deal with and handle different people.
And I'll add this too. I've heard certain people say is the kids have lost that skill, and I always think about the whole COVID situation that even before then, there still wasn't a skill that most kids had, but they definitely lost a lot more opportunity to learn that skill during COVID when they were stuck at home, things like that. So I just want to encourage like people like Miss Joanne, people like Miss Deborah, keep encouraging, keep helping try to teach them, give them opportunities to have that small talk opportunity, because I agree with Arthur. He said that, you know, relationships are the most important thing. Connectivity. People need connectivity no matter I'm an introvert and I need connectivity no matter what, right? So we all need to be connected to somebody, some people, right? So just continue to encourage people to have that small talk opportunity so they can feel like they are connected to people and so they can feel heard. So I would just add that to the conversation.
It starts at the kitchen table.
You got people like myself who, if I'm sitting in that Walmart line, I actually get a kick out of finding that introvert and making them talk. Especially if it's me, say us 3-4 people together, and I'm sitting there with this person, I'm gonna make them talk as much as I possibly can. I'm gonna ask as many questions as I can, because to me, small talk is what it's all. It's all part of that networking, right, Yashika? All right, let's say you're sitting in that line, right, and you finally get up to the front of that line. Y'all, tell me, why is it you check yourself out at the Starbucks or wherever you are, and they ask for a tip every single time? Do you think it's acceptable practice for these companies to ask for a tip? They're not even doing anything. I spit a little bit. They're not even doing anything.
The Bible said, "Ask you have not, because you ask not."
What did it say about begging?
What
did it say about begging?
I think that's one of the books that was taken out. Somebody.
What did the Bible say about begging? I gotta be honest with you.
And,
this is not a ask not. This is a begging situation. Is my coffee? Do you think so?
I think it's great. Yeah.
And they stare at you too. Every like.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you say like, when you go to like Starbucks and you go to some place like that, because I've seen it where they have the little like basket, little box or whatever that's set up, and it says, okay, put tips in here if you want to.
No, not that.
People actually ask, like people actually like physically ask when you get to the counter. That's what you're saying this happens?
No.
Yeah, see, now the computers now.
On the computer. Like not a waitress.
Oh, got it.
Not anybody who deserves the tip.
Yeah.
So if you go to, say, I haven't seen it at Walmart or any kind of department store like that.
Yeah.
But you go to a place, you're not yet.
Yeah.
You go to a place like Starbucks, right? a small spot like that, or McAllister's, Jason's Deli. You get to the front, I want this, and this. And then your total is $10. They're gonna ask you if you would like to pay.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Who am I paying this tip to?
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Why don't you just give the people more money? Well, who am I paying this tip to?
Yeah.
Charge me more money.
At Luby's now, they best restaurant in the world, by the way. At Luby's now, you paying for your food, and they'll ask, "Hey, you need some change so you can tip." Like, he ain't doing. I'm bringing some napkins.
Yeah, no, for real. No, I can't get with that. Like, if I ain't getting like fully like waited on, I'm not tipping.
And I always try to leave something, but it's just fact that they ask that. I leave it just that's my dad. Hey, boy, something like that. But it's like you need some change. You can tip. Who told y'all finna tip? I walked through. I got my own food. I walked to the table by myself. Only thing they finna do is, do you need ketchup or hot sauce, something like that? They finna bring me some hot sauce or something and some napkins. But,
Okay, Mary Dixon says, "Wow, my heart goes out for our kids. I am praying for those kids that do not know Jesus." All right,
now that's big talk.
Let me ask y'all, about this tilting situation. First of all, let's start with ladies first. Yashika, you go to a restaurant. Your bill is $30. That's how much the bill is. I hate it when they call it a check. I say, I'm getting paid to eat. No, but it's not a check, it's a bill. So you go to a restaurant. Your bill is $30. You got great service. How much do you tip?
For $30?
Yes.
10 or 15. I'm a good tipper.
I'm a good tipper.
You were a good tipper.
Yeah, I'm a good tipper. So 10 or 15.
You're a very good tipper.
Yeah.
Okay. 10.
Especially if they're young. If they're young, I really tip big because I'm trying to encourage them. And I used to be the vaccine coordinator for Dallas County. So I always talk to the youth coming in. So I was always knowing what they doing. I'm the small talk queen. With the young people, I make them talk too. I make the young people talk more than the adults. If I'm going to start small talk, is a lot of time if I'm not working, I like to start it with the kids, the teens, the younger people, just to see what they're doing. I want to know what they're doing. What are you going to school for? What would you do with that? So if they're younger people, I talk to them a lot, and then I tip big to just encouragement. And I write stuff on the receipt. Encouraging.
Okay. Very nice. That's very, very nurturing, very womanly of you.
Yeah.
It's not entertaining, but it's good.
No.
Because
you you never know. So that's what I do.
Arthur, $30. Great service. How much you tipping?
30. Yeah, I'd say anywhere between about 10. About 10. That's normally what. I used to wait tables, so I already know.
so the going rate is what? Is it 15 to 20%?
It's 20% now.
So 10 off a $30 tip is 30%. So that's good. So
it went up like haircuts.
We debunking the black people don't tip well. Well, Ace is a good tip.
That's my motive. That's my motivation actually. Because of that black people don't tip well. That's my motivation.
$30. What do you tip?
If it's 30, probably 20.
Oh, goodness. You could have got the meal twice.
Depending on the level, if it was just like some, oh my God, this is a horrible service, something like that, I still do 10. But if it was just 30 and it was a great service, stuff like that, I'll do 20.
Eric?
If even it's poor service, I'm gonna leave at least a $5 tip. If it's poor service, and I see them trying, they'll get at least $5, right? But around about $10. That's pretty much the going rate. I think that's pretty acceptable for the most part. And I like, if I can, I like to tell the waiter or waitress, whoever the case was, what they did well and how we enjoyed their service. Things like
after
that.
You got your food, right?
After I got the food, the service is over with. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's all said and done.
No, I don't think if I got a $30 meal, I'm like Yashik. I'm in between 10 and 15. Probably not 15 because that's 50% of a meal, but that's a lot. It got to be really. She got to be cute. It's got to be some really good service. But if it's bad service, I'm not doing 5. If it's bad because of attitude, I'm not doing 5.
That's
if it's
different.
bad because they're young and they're just not that good and they're slow, I can deal with that.
Yeah, they're trying for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all, we've had a good time tonight. I have. Ace was late. Yeah, Ace was extremely late.
You know what? I gotta apologize to Arthur because I had all kind of jokes waiting on him because when his internet was messed up and everything, and my internet and stuff messed up. So Arthur, I can't tell none of my internet jokes about you. So
go ahead and tell that joke about the submarine.
No, that was hilarious. I was laughing my butt off. I ain't even on front. That was funny to me.
This is Kobe safe for me.
Hey, you know what? That was one of my distasteful jokes that I never should have let out.
I still laugh though. I have a dark sense of humor, so I laugh at stuff like that, bro. So I'm just gonna be honest.
Hey, that joke just imploded
I'm
on him.
Hey, yo, Ace, who do we have on the show next week?
I'm discussing the topics that have to deal with the black family. So you know the food or the drink is good when the person says swallow instead of swallow. We're going to have an interview with Liberians with Tourette syndrome. And the name of the show is going to be titled Breaking the Rules. So we will have their mics muted most of the time. Married couples that swing at the playground. Are they confused or just risk takers? Giggity, giggity. We'll see how that goes.
Catch Adrian, the Ace Stinson, and the rest of the Rebranders crew live Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central on YouTube and Instagram at Rebranders Podcast, Facebook at Rebranders, or Rebranders.org.
I work too hard. Look, I work too hard for this stuff, man.
Some of his jokes go down, they just don't come up. Hey, yo, Ace, who do we have on the show next week?
Well, it's funny that we were speaking of tips in the service industry and everything like that. I got a group of people that I actually interviewed. They're gonna be on next week, just talking about what they do. So we're gonna be interviewing prostitutes who work part-time as waitresses, and either way you're getting served. So we're gonna be talking with them about that in the service industry, and we can talk about tips now. You don't like my guest? I work hard to find these people, man.
No doubt. Okay.
I go to the comments real quick.
Yeah.
First one says, this is from Chris Bell. Ace, you are a fool. He also, Chris Bell also says, industry standard is a minimum. That's a big word for tips. Of 20%, but it also depends on service. If service is minimum, tip less. If it's standards and you go without anything, 20%. If it's great service, then more. Being from the industry for 27 years, I also tip 50%. Woo! 50% is good. It's okay until you hit that $100.
That's why I said $30.
Yeah. Either way, you're getting served. Why they like that? That's Damon Nichols. All right, thank y'all for joining. Hey, y'all don't go anywhere. We're going to talk to y'all in backstage. But thank y'all for joining us. Those who commented and watched tonight, we've had a lot of fun tonight. If you wasn't a part of it tonight, if you didn't see the whole show, you really missed it. That's okay. We got another one coming up in 167 more hours. See y'all next week.